from KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
You can feel it all over town. Spurs fans are ready to welcome the newest member of the team. The NBA draft starts in 1 hour right here on KSAT 12. And we'll soon know how the Spurs roster will fill out for the upcoming season.
And if what we've been hearing pans out, the newest Spurs last name will be Harper. Sports director Larry Ramirez is live in New York for that draft. He joins us now. Big night, Larry.
Absolutely a big night. And I'll tell you what, I think Dylan Harper is a perfect prospect to join the San Antonio Spurs. So yes, the 2025 NBA draft from the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York is about to get underway, and I'm going to have Mark Mendez, photographer, shoot the floor down there. It's pretty darn cool. 25 NBA prospects are here. They each have their own table, and they have a gold ball on the table with their name on it. So that will make a pretty cool keepsake. So according to the NBA, the first pick tonight is scheduled for approximately 7:07 p.m. San Antonio time. That should be Cooper Flag to the Dallas Mavericks. After that, each team gets a maximum of 5 minutes, so we should know the Spurs overall pick, the second overall selection, before 7:15 p.m. San Antonio time, and it is widely expected that Dylan Harper will be the newest basketball player to join the San Antonio Spurs. And you know what, you guys, this is my 4th year in a row covering the NBA draft, and it's just exciting every single time. And to see these young men and their families down on the court behind me is awesome. We will have much more on the draft coming up later in sports. Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Larry, thank you. Small steps to normalcy in Eagle Pass. That's what some who live there and county officials there are saying.
Yeah, that's amid Customs and Border Patrol reports of historic lows in illegal crossings. Our John Paul Barajas live in Eagle Pass at Shelby Park, where there's already been some drastic changes out there, John Paul.
Steve, Myra, that's right. I am standing in the middle of Shelby Park, and most notably, I didn't have to ask anybody permission to come inside. All of this after Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star shut down the park here. Last time I was here back in March, they had military men gating the entrance and manning the entrance.
They were taking away from the community the space that we used to enjoy.
However, in April, the park opened back up to the public and visitors can come and go as they please. Although there is still plenty of noticeable signs of Operation Lone Star.
I wouldn't take, and I haven't taken, right, my kids, my family, like before I used to, because it's still militarized.
Others we spoke to off camera, though, are just happy to get some sort of normalcy back. Maverick County Judge Ramsey Cantu says this is a step in the right direction, but one that he wants to see continue.
At some point, you want to see the process continue to alleviate there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's time that, you know, we have come through a situation of what a major concern once was. They need to go, and they need to take the next steps to go ahead and clear out what needs to go and you know, get this park back to what it once was.
The judge credits the decreased number of illegal crossings, something people who live here say they've also noticed.
Every day it was like a for sure thing that I was going to see a big Greyhound bus just waiting for large groups. We would always see immigrants crossing through our neighborhood. The past 4 or 5 months, we've seen that activity like none.
According to CBP, there is historically low numbers of encounters. Since President Trump took office in February and through May, the Del Rio sector, which includes Eagle Pass, has only surpassed 1,000 encounters in one of those months. During the same time frame last year, the encounters range from 14 to 10,000. Although it is important to note, a decline in encounters did start in mid-2024.
Our border, of course, here is not the same as it once was.
And coming up tonight at 10, we'll hear from the county judge about another drastic change they've seen just in the last few weeks, and that is that refrigerated trailers that were holding and housing the remains of migrants are no longer being used, at least for the time being. In Eagle Pass, John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Big change at that part of the border. Thank you, John Paul. A fire that damaged the northeast side apartment building apparently started in a kitchen. We had it as breaking news last night on the Night Beat. San Antonio fire investigators say it appears food left cooking on a stove in one apartment near Starcrest Drive in Loop 410 sparked that fire and then spread. Katrina Weber shows us how things got even worse for one family who lost their home.
It was clear from the large response that there was big trouble on Barrington Street near Starcrest. One unit at La Silva Apartments had caught fire just before 9:30 Tuesday night, but it soon would affect the entire building.
Mainly the front door and the front window is damaged.
Holly Courtney came back in the morning for what was left of her possessions. Flames that started in a unit downstairs and across the way made their way upstairs to her home. That downstairs neighbor told me off camera that he fell asleep while cooking. The smoke also poured into Courtney's home, where her teenage son was all alone.
The cops called me and said there was a fire and my son is safe. So I came as fast as I could.
First responders helped her son out of the home. The fire department says another second-floor neighbor jumped and was taken to a hospital for injuries. Even the apartments that escaped the flames could not get away from the heat. You can see here how this entire sheet of plastic just melted. Courtney herself now is a bit hot under the collar. After her son got out with his life, she says someone else went inside and stole from them.
Stuff that was in drawers in my dresser was on my bed. I don't understand why people do this. You're already going through a hard time. Why would you do it?
While it's a double loss for them, their neighbors do have their share of trouble trying to figure out their next move. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
New at 6, sexual assault survivors no longer forced into silence by non-disclosure agreements. Trey's law just passed in Texas. It is the strongest law of its kind in the nation, voiding any and all sexual assault NDAs.
The law was written in memory of a young man whose sister sat down with Courtney Friedman to talk about vindication.
I'm Trey's big sister, and I always say that applies in life and in death.
Elizabeth Phillips has and always will fight for her brother, Trey Carlock, who was groomed and sexually abused for a decade at Kanakuk Christian Summer Camp, starting when he was 7. His civil litigation ended in a non-disclosure agreement, meaning he could never talk about the abuse again.
That's why he died a death of despair. And I call it a death of despair because he had lost hope that he could heal.
Trey died by suicide a few years later in 2019, and his family then vowed no other person would suffer the same way.
This law makes it clear how harmful silence can be.
For far too long, powerful people and institutions have owned the narrative in these abuse stories.
A group of bipartisan state legislators heard their cries.
No state has gone as far or passed a bill as strong as the one we're about to pass.
144 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 835 is finally passed.
Beginning September 1st, NDAs of any sexual assault survivor, no matter how old, will be null and void.
What does that feel like?
It feels like such a victory. After 5 years of grief, I feel some relief that this pain has had purpose. I love texting victims that I know are under NDAs in Texas saying, be free. You have the freedom of speech back to tell your story.
They're now working on a campaign to spread the word across Texas that survivors are finally taking their power back. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Trey's abuser, Peter Newman, was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 30 years in prison for abusing 6 underage victims, though a new lawsuit alleges 57 victims. That's why Phillips isn't stopping here. She also wants to educate families on grooming. And you can find more on that subject right now on KSAT.com. Just search for Trey's Law.
Another afternoon of pop-up showers throughout the area, and frankly, Sarah, we love to see it.
Honestly, because even though we had that horrible flooding event a week and a half ago, we still need rain because we are in drought. So any little bit of rain is going to help. And right now it's just a little bit of rain. Most of the storminess is up near San Marcos at the moment, but there is one storm just south of Bulverde here. You can see right along 281 close to Johnson High School. And then we've got another downpour out here near JBSA Lackland, and then on the 410 loop on the southwest side of town. Now, these showers and storms are fueled by the sun, and so they're going to dissipate as we get closer and closer to sunset. What a day it was. A high temperature of 93, very average for this time of year. We could be a lot hotter. Record set back in 2009 was 103, but take a look at what's going to happen to high temperatures over the next several days and into next week. We've got a few more days here where high temperatures will be close to average, but then we crank up the heat into the end of next week. What's happening next week? July 4th, we could be close to 100 degrees. That's not all to talk about, though, in the forecast. Look at where the rain fell today and our first big plume of Saharan dust on the horizon.
Cannot believe July 4th is next week. Thank you, Sarah. Let's take a look outside at traffic right now. Back up here at I-10 in New Braunfels. You can see off in the distance there the flashing lights, an 18-wheeler or other big box truck involved in whatever this issue is that's got at least one lane, looks like maybe even two, closed down, traffic squeezing its way through here at I-10 and New Braunfels.
The music fell silent at a legendary San Antonio venue 20 years ago. Now, the beat returns. Coming up after the break, how a weekend festival honors the spirit of Taco Land.
Let's take a look outside with live cam. You just heard Sarah talk about things heating up for the 4th. What about our rain chances between now and then? She's got your full forecast up next.
A family that's lived in San Antonio for decades tells me even after they've spent thousands of dollars on the immigration process, their loved one is still not home. Their story tonight on The Night Beat.
New gardens popping up across San Antonio, and these ones are designed to be accessible. Coming up tonight in The Night Beat, we'll show you the people behind this project.
This week marks 20 years since a tragedy shocked San Antonio's music scene. The owner of the legendary venue Taco Land was shot and killed inside his bar, along with another employee.
2 decades later, friends and fans keeping Ram Ayala's legacy alive. Erica Hernandez shows us how the music and memories live on.
It was once a scrappy dive bar turned underground music hub on Grayson Street. A place where punk, rock, and everyone in between had a place to express themselves. But in June 2005, as the city was celebrating a Spurs championship, the music at Taco Land came to a screeching halt. Owner Ramiro Ayala, also known as Ram, and doorman Doug Morgan were shot and killed. Now, 20 years later, Ram's name still echoes through San Antonio's music scene.
It's a celebration for our fallen brothers Ram Ayala and Doug Morgan. Ram spawned a lot of bands, and out of a lot of bands became, record label owners, club owners. Some of them went out and, became lawyers.
Roland Fuentes used to be a promoter at Taco Land. Now he's helping organize the 20th anniversary Ram Jam, a 2-day festival featuring more than 20 bands, some of which were Ayala's favorites.
It's been 20 years, and a lot of these bands, want to come back and show what they've done, and it's pretty cool.
Though the original venue has long since closed, Taco Land's influence still looms large. The anniversary, more than just a tragic loss, it's celebrating a movement that brought people together.
When I find myself driving by, it hits home, makes me sad. I'll go out there sometimes and just hang out underneath the tree and just, hang out with my friends, and remember.
The Ram Jam Festival will take place this Saturday and Sunday at the Corn Pound in Windcrest. Longtime fans and new faces alike, united by music and the memory of the man who helped build a scene that endures. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Ram Jam. As for the man convicted of killing Ayala and Morgan, Joseph Gamboa, he's still on death row, and as of now, no date has been scheduled for his execution.
All right, let's talk about this forecast, Sarah. Do we still have some rain on the radar right now?
Yeah, we do, Myra, although those showers are starting to really come to an end for the most part. You can see here on Authority radar that just about an hour ago, we were looking at some pretty robust storms, especially near Schertz and up near San Marcos. But things have really quieted down just within the last few minutes or so. That being said, there is one shower on the north side of town. This is the area of town that got some decent rain yesterday, south of Timberwood Park. We can even zoom into street level here. This is in Stone Oak. You can see this is Flagstone Drive. So if you're watching in Flagstone Drive, you're getting one of these isolated showers. As we zoom out a little bit more and take a look at rainfall totals so far today, we can see where the rain really has fallen. Let's go ahead and look at the last couple of hours here. Mainly near Schertz, Cibolo, and then once again Seguin. Seguin, you kind of hit the rainfall lottery both today and yesterday. In fact, as we zoom into the Cibolo area, some of these neighborhoods got a decent amount of rainfall, but as you can see, it was fairly isolated. So as we take a look at Cibolo here, rainfall totals of about half an inch or so out near the Cibolo area. Now tomorrow, what we're going to see is less rain coverage, and we're going to still have a chance for a spotty shower or two through the weekend, just less coverage than what we've seen today and yesterday. So your odds of getting rain are a bit more sparse. Now Saharan dust is going to be pretty noticeable next week. That's our next big thing that we'll be talking about. And for the 4th of July, triple digits will likely return. Let's start with tomorrow's forecast. Less coverage of those spotty showers. You'll wake up at 75 in your KSAT 12-hour forecast, and by noon it'll be 86. Tomorrow only a 20% chance for a stray shower or storm. High temperature of 92. Winds will be breezy from the southeast at about 10 miles per hour. That 92 is going to feel more like it's in the upper 90s because of the higher humidity. Again, not anything we can't handle here in San Antonio and South Central Texas. We're used to that kind of heat. The next big thing, though, is the Saharan dust. And I want to take a moment and talk about how we see Saharan dust just about every year. So here is the Saharan desert. Here's Africa. And lots of this dust is picked up into the air and taken across the Atlantic from the trade winds. They're called the trade winds because sailing ships used to attach onto these winds and come over to the New World and trade with areas there. And now what those trade winds really do is they bring in that Saharan dust all the way over across the Gulf into South Central Texas, and that's going to be the case early next week. We're talking mainly Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. There will be a plume of noticeable Saharan dust. Now, this is not going to be like a dust storm like you see in some of those movies. I'm thinking about Mission Impossible because I just saw it. There's that one of those movies where a huge dust storm comes in. That's not going to be the case. But early next week, what the biggest thing you'll notice is a haze on the horizon. And if you're particularly sensitive to it, your allergens could be, your allergies could act up a little bit. So some mild allergies early next week. Again, this is very common, happens every year. It just is a little bit going to be more noticeable early next week. Now the peak heat is going to start to shift from areas out across the northeast. Today in New York City, it felt like 103, and that heat high is going to move back over Texas next week. Big holiday next week, Independence Day, 4th of July. So here's your way too early 4th forecast for July 4th. It's 10 days out, but I can say that I do think we're going to be near 100 degrees. And I say way too early because we'll have some time to refine the forecast. Things like rain chances, you really need to be within at least 7 days to get a decent understanding of if there's going to be any rain. Other than that, enjoy the low 90s while you can because it's going to be hotter very soon.
Yeah, we knew that would change eventually.
We did.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, want to give you a live look at the Rock at La Cantera now. This is the site for the Spurs official draft watch party. We checked in here at 5 o'clock. People are making their way to the deep northwest side on the opposite side of Topgolf, if you know where that is. The Rim area, La Cantera. The Spurs are inviting you to be part of this excitement out on the Frost Plaza at the Rock as they pick up the next pieces of the Spurs team. The watch party starts at 6:30. Look at that.
But there's a crowd already.
I'm telling you, people are excited for tonight. Still time to head out there if you want to, share the draftiness of it all with other Spurs fans. The draft, of course, starts at 7 o'clock, and you can watch it right here on KSAT 12. Again, that party starts at 6:30. But, that's an indication of just how excited people are about the Spurs draft.
I've been here for one draft. I wasn't quite here yet for Wemby's draft, but that's a pretty big crowd. Not nearly as many people there last year as there are this year. So that's exciting. You can feel the excitement building for the 2025 NBA draft. What will the Spurs do? And where is projected number 2 pick Dylan Harper's head at? After the break, we visit again with sports director Larry Ramirez. He'll get us ready for it all. Stay with us.
I wouldn't look at anything as pressure. I think, me going into whatever situation I go into, I'm just going to try and be myself all the time, and I'm going to push myself to be better and better every single day, and make the most out of every day. I'm not worried about living up to certain players' expectations or things like that. I'm just going to be myself and really just try and get better every single day that I can.
Cooper Flagg is set to become the second youngest #1 draft pick tonight, behind LeBron James in 2003 by about a month. It's time for Big Board Sports. The San Antonio Spurs, for the 4th consecutive summer, own a pick in the top 10. Tonight, the franchise embarks on its first draft in the Mitch Johnson era with picks 2, 14, and some developing news at 38 we'll get to. As for the draft as a whole, we have a pretty good idea of how the chips will fall at #1 and #2, but after that is where things should get interesting. The NBA draft is a 2-day event with 59 picks. The first 30 are selected in today's first round. And with that, let's check in with sports director Larry Ramirez, reporting live from the home of the Brooklyn Nets, where the NBA draft will soon begin. Larry.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. The countdown is on, that's for sure, as we get closer to the start of the first round of the 2025 NBA draft here at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which is hopping right now. And as we've been telling you all along, you can watch the first round of the NBA draft tonight live on KSAT 12. Now, of course, this is a night these NBA draft prospects and their families have been dreaming of for a very long time. Soon they will hear their names called by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, and their lives will change forever. Even more fame and fortune are right around the corner. For Rutgers one-and-done guard Dylan Harper, he's expected to get selected by the Spurs tonight with the 2nd overall pick. Yesterday, during his media avail, he said he worked out for the Spurs twice. He loves the coaching staff, and he's already thought about what it would be to play like alongside with Victor Wembanyama. I mean, who doesn't think about that in the NBA? He also talked about what advice his dad and 5-time NBA champion Ron Harper gave him during this process.
He just told me stay grounded and just be honest with yourself, and just always going to work every day, just being your best self, always have a high energy, and just don't let none really affect you. Just always work hard.
Have you allowed yourself to think about where you would fit into the different NBA teams that are in your range of drafting, and what you would bring to the table for each specific team?
Of course, yeah. I mean, you think about where you can go and what's best for you personally, but I think at the end of the day, you're going to get picked by an NBA team, and wherever you're going to go, you're going to make the best out of it by whatever you do.
It's going to be a great night for Duke fans, that's for sure. So the 2025 NBA draft starts at the top of the hour, and the first pick is expected to hit at approximately 7:07 San Antonio time. Mary, let's send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Larry. Well, the first draft pick trade of the night involves the San Antonio Spurs. They're trading their number 38 pick to the Indiana Pacers for future second round future second round pick and cash. That's according to Shams Charania of ESPN. And the draft gets underway at 7 o'clock live on KSAT 12, and we'll be live on our streaming show KSAT Sports Now with instant reaction, which you can watch on our streaming platforms, KSAT.com and KSAT Plus. That goes down every weeknight, and tonight will be a special one, live instant reaction from the KSAT 12 sports team.
I wonder how much cash Indiana is sending the Spurs.
I do wonder.
Enough to build an arena, maybe?
That would be
Probably
pretty
not.
nice.
No, I'm sure it's not. I'm just kidding around. Thanks.
Got it.
Thanks, Mary. All right, earlier this week, we told you about a team of researchers doing some digging here at Miraflores, digging up what mysteries may lie underneath. The park itself has been a mystery for a lot of people for decades. Well, today we are taking you back there to show you how this unique place that's hidden in plain sight came to be.
Today's KSAT Explains ties into a story we told you yesterday about a dig happening at Miraflores. It's a green space right next to Brackenridge Park off Hildebrand Avenue.
For years, it's been kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
But now the city wants to plant trees there and put in some irrigation. So a team of researchers is digging first to see if they can find anything significant. Today, we're bringing back this KSAT Explains, all about what Miraflores once was and the hope that it could be used again one day.
East of Highway 281, west of Broadway, and along Hildebrand Avenue, there's a grand gate standing guard over scattered sculptures that tell a story. But this gate...
Real secure, high security locking gate here.
Maybe just as important.
Okay, let's do it.
Just as symbolic in telling the story of what's here now.
What is all this stuff?
It's remnants of what was here.
This is Miraflores, a more than century-old creation, a place that blends nature and art with political persecution, revolution, tales of ancient gods.
It's a mashup. This is a mashup of all of these worlds. Such a magnificent site is now in this state. How did that come to pass?
The park was once a lush garden, the site of large parties, civic engagements, and gatherings, all owned and imagined by Dr. Aureliano Urrutia.
I'm the great-granddaughter of Dr. Aureliano Urrutia. He came here in 1914 as an exile.
From Mexico in a time of political turmoil, in the time of the Mexican Revolution.
As did many others, tens of thousands.
If we walk over here, you can see en los relojes del mundo nunca suena la hora de la justicia. In the clocks of the world, the hour of justice never strikes. My grandmother was one of his patients.
His medical practice was downtown, and he ministered largely to the west side.
Dr. Urrutia was a surgeon known for landmark procedures like separating conjoined twins.
He created special tools in order to do it.
Creation was as much a passion of Urrutia's as medicine. He sometimes leaned on what would today be considered homeopathic remedies that had connections to indigenous cultures, much like the artwork Urrutia selected for Miraflores.
What did this place mean to him? Why did he create this kind of a space?
That is an important question. This garden was his expression of his attachment to his homeland.
We used to sneak in here when I was a teenager. What always fascinated me was that the place, even in ruin, gave evidence of this idea that he had to create a site in San Antonio that illuminated, revealed the connections between our city and Mexico. So here, this is the sculpture of Cuauhtémoc, and Cuauhtémoc was the last Aztec emperor. One of the things that Dr. Urrutia had in mind when he created this park, it was a commemoration of the 400th anniversary of the conquest. 1521 to 1921.
1921, the year Miraflores was established, 400 years after the fall of the Aztec Empire.
Hernán Cortés founded Mexico City 1521. And then over here, on this side, Dr. Aureliano Urrutia founded this institution 1921. So Cortés and Urrutia.
There are also influences from other cultures, like the Greek goddess Nike. This statue used to stand above the entrance of Dr. Urrutia's home in Menke Park, which was connected to Miraflores by a walking path. But some things are long gone.
There was a tower there. Okay. An incredible tower with a library inside.
A
library, and then you could go up the spiral stairs to a kind of a reading room at the top of this tower.
There was once a pool here, flourishing plants and trees. One of the arched entrances to Miraflores has been saved but moved, now at the San Antonio Museum of Art. These benches still stand in the garden, at least in part. They were created using discarded pottery.
And very historic Talavera pottery.
So beautiful.
From Puebla. It's sort of the style that comes out of Puebla, Mexico.
Pieces that used to be mismatched are now simply missing, thanks to the passage of time or trespassers.
The great scholar Tomás Ibarra Frausto calls a rascuache style, sort of like improvised making the best of these pieces of discarded pottery,
that still have beauty, they're just not wanted.
Much like Miraflores itself.
Miraflores used to be about 2/3 larger than it is. You see it right now. It used to stretch all the way to Broadway, to Hildebrand.
Dr. Urrutia sold the property in 1962. He died in 1975 at the age of 103. The garden has had several owners over the years, once Southwestern Bell, later AT&T, then the University of the Incarnate Word. Part of the park was paved over to make a parking lot.
Let's walk back here really quickly.
At the edge of the property, barbecue pits were installed by previous owners to use for company gatherings. Next to it, we saw remnants of a recent fire started by someone who wasn't supposed to have access.
It's been left to vandals to come in and do what they want with it.
The city of San Antonio owns Miraflores now. The Breckenridge Park Conservancy manages the property, but they hope to do more, to return Miraflores to at least a version of what it once was, and to connect it to Breckenridge Park.
Our goal is at some point in time to really restore it to a venue that is not locked and gated and closed to the general public.
What is your hope for this place in the future?
My hope is that it will be restored as a place for San Antonians of all abilities and all types to enjoy. But I think that's the easy part.
It will take money, interest, and a plan.
If this had survived, this would have been a National Heritage Site.
The restoration, in my opinion, needs to be in line with Dr. Urrutia's original vision, because that vision is connected to a larger story.
An opportunity exists for the right people to find the right partner and to really redevelop this and make it a destination place that celebrates Mexican culture, history, landscape, the beauty, art, everything. Too much culture, too much history has been forgotten about. And Miraflores emulates that in a 5-acre parcel of land that is left.
So the city hopes to plant more than 80 trees in a couple of weeks and, put that irrigation in. They hope that is the start of turning it into something people can use again in the future.
It's just such a shame, though, when you look at those old pictures and how grand, for lack of a better word, all of that was.
I know, and you see what's lost, but there is something left. There is something that hopefully we can all enjoy one day. You can watch This Explains or any of our Explains coverage by scanning that QR code you saw there. It'll take you to KSAT.com and the KSAT Plus app, as well as YouTube, to access all of our stories. We'll be right back.
It is a pattern. As we take a live look outside, we're in this pattern of afternoon rain showers, which is a lot better than the doldrums of no showers that we know is around the corner.
Absolutely, Steve. At least we're not in the triple digits, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the authority radar, because we do have one lone shower in San Antonio. It's on the northwest side. Areas like Scenic Oaks getting some good rain right now, in addition to the rain they saw yesterday. And take a look at this. This is a video sent in through KSAT Connect by Lori. Thank you, Lori. You see the rain here and you see sun in the background. I think this is a perfect example of the kind of rain. We'll have a chance for that again tomorrow. By the way, you are our eyes on the ground at home. Post your pictures to KSAT Connect and videos. We love to share them. I'll have details on Saharan dust and a sneak peek at 4th of July coming up.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Here's a look at what's coming up on ABC tonight. Beginning at 7, it is the 2025 NBA Draft. Go Spurs, go. Coverage begins right after this newscast. Then join us after the draft for the Night Beat. No triple digits, rain chances out there. We're going to take advantage of this and enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, it's going to be a little drafty tonight.
Yeah, hey, got the pun because of the NBA draft there, Steve. I caught that one.
Thank you.
And also, I see you're wearing your silver and black, too.
Yeah, it felt right.
I'm saying I wore my silver and black yesterday, you know.
That's fine. I mean, I'm not being judged. I'm not judging anybody that might
Sarah,
be wearing blue.
Let's get real. He called us both out earlier.
He really did.
He did.
He really did. We're going to be honest here.
I show my support.
There you go. Honest like the forecast, right? We're going to be looking at the showers starting to fall apart here and come to an end. Right now, the only shower that's left out there, as I mentioned, is right near Scenic Oaks. It is weakening, but Bernie, Pipe Creek, you may get a brief shower here very soon. I want to take a moment, though, and I want to talk about how much rain has fallen today. You can see that most of the rain was confined to Cibolo, Schertz, Seguin, and on the north part of Guadalupe County. That's where we saw some decent rainfall. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these neighborhoods here near Fentress and also near Prairie Lee. You can see in some of these neighborhoods, we got up to about an inch to an inch and a half of rainfall there. That just goes to show you that these showers and storms today, they were isolated, but where we saw rain, the rain came down hard. And if we combine this with the last look at the last 24 hours, you can see these are the neighborhoods that have seen rain. Some folks may fill in the gaps tomorrow, although coverage is going to be a little bit less tomorrow, only 20%. The big story across the nation is that it's still baking across the east. It feels hotter in New York City than it does in San Antonio this evening. It feels like 107 in Nashville, Tennessee, and 108 in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, this heat is all centered around that heat high, and we have been spoiled with this heat high not overhead. I hate to tell you, these days are going to be long gone because that heat high is going to be moving over Texas past the weekend and into next week. That's when we're really going to feel the heat. What's happening next week? Kind of hard to believe it. 4th of July on Friday. Here's a look at the 4th of July temperatures across the state of Texas next week. It's a little too early to talk about rainfall, but we can kind of get a good understanding of temperatures. It's likely going to be in the triple digits across a good portion of Texas. So if you have plans to travel, you won't have to worry about packing clothes that are too much different than in San Antonio if you're traveling across the state of Texas. It's going to be hot for the 4th of July holiday. And we're likely to tally on to some triple digit days. We've had 3 100-degree days so far this year. All of that happened in May. We haven't had any 100-degree days in June. By this time in 2024, last year we had already had 7 days. We had already had 8 days in 2023. And 2022, we had 21 triple-digit days by this time. So what's the next big thing other than the heat? It's a Saharan dust. Saharan dust is going to start to move in. By Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, we'll have a bit of a moderate plume. You'll definitely notice a haze on the horizon, but allergies, those who suffer from allergies might notice it a little bit as well. Small dip in the air quality. So like I mentioned, tomorrow the rain coverage will be a little bit less, but very similar weather. 76 in the morning, 92 for the high, a 20% chance for a pop-up downpour. We've got about 4 or 5 more days where the highs will be in the low 90s before we start to see temperatures really crank up to that triple-digit mark in the middle of next week.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
We'll be right back. You know, many times I ask myself, what does Mary Rominger think? Well, tonight you have an opportunity during KSAT Sports Now to get the lowdown on what Mary thinks about the Spurs draft picks.
Yes, and Nick Mantis will be joining me. So if you don't agree with me, then you can potentially agree with Nick Mantis. But yes, we're breaking it all down because the Spurs are in a position entering this NBA draft to add to an already robust backcourt. So what does that mean for the Spurs moving forward? How does Dylan Harper fit into the mix if the Spurs do in fact draft him? And the big question, what are the Spurs going to do at number 14 after already trading away number 38?
It's going to be interesting. Do they trade up? Do they trade down? What do they do with 14? Seems to be of more intrigue right now than number 2.
Agreed. And there's a couple ways they can go about it. But, you know, if you look at trying to lock in one of the promising centers, or do you just trade for the future?
Yep. Mary Mantis. KSAT Sports Now comes your way at 7 o'clock tonight. It may be warm outside, but it's about to get drafty in here. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on GMSA, the recent fatal flood has us revisiting the Thompson community. We're going to tell you the latest on the Concepcion drainage project that would have displaced dozens of families.
And we are going to see another couple of days here of spotty downpours in the afternoon, including over the weekend. That's important to note. But that is also going to keep temperatures down into the low 90s. Without those rain chances next week and with Saharan dust and a high pressure system moving in, we're going to start to see temperatures climb. I wouldn't doubt if we hit 100 on the 4th of July.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for watching the news at 6.
See you on the Night Beat after the draft, which is next.